Greetings, everyone. My name is Matt Lang, and not too long ago, I wrote a blog about migrating from Galera Cluster to Tungsten Clustering without any downtime. Um, Got some interest in this blog, and so I figured what I'd do is actually just make a quick video to show you how these steps work. It's actually pretty simple, and it's really like converting from any other platform to Tungsten Clustering. The steps are mostly the same, with a couple additional steps necessary for Galera Cluster. So let me share my terminal screen and show you how to do this. So you can see two terminal screens. On the left, I have my Galera cluster, and on the right, I have my Tungsten cluster. So obviously, we're going to assume that you have a working Galera cluster, and that's pretty easy to check. What you want to do is just basically log into MySQL, and I probably have it here already, but you can see I have a 3-node Galera cluster. And of course, we're going to need our Tungsten cluster already installed. So let's have a look here. This should be one of my Tungsten nodes. And go into ccTRL and have a look. And you can see I have a 3-node cluster, and I have a connector installed on each of the database nodes. So I've got a cluster that's waiting to go live here, Tungsten, and I've got my Galera cluster here on the left. So first of all, what do we need to do to configure Galera, right? We're going to need binary logging turned on. And that's actually pretty easy to do. All you have to do is just get the comp file. So typically galera.cnf here. And this is your Galera config, right? But we add these couple of lines, or these 3 lines, right? So we want to say, hey, log bin, we want to enable binary logging. We need to do log slave updates. There may be several masters in this cluster, and we want to make sure that anything that's written to this node, even from the other nodes, gets logged into the binary log. And then finally, we need to have a server ID. And this is really just part of standard binary logging, right? You need to have a server ID, right? Once you do that, you restart this node, and now you have binary logging turned on. It becomes really easy now to actually do the migration, right? After you do that, you need to take a backup. So a couple things to note about a backup. So first of all, in the backup, we will need the binary log position where the backup left off. And that's because when we restore the backup, we need to start replication from that position. One other thing to note too, if you're using a tool like Extra Backup, the target MySQL server should be the same version as the Galera server that you're backing up from. Yeah, you don't want to mix versions here because you may not be able to do a restore. So I'm just, for simplicity's sake, I'm just going to use MySQL dump here. And I'm going to use the command with a couple options, and I'll run it here for you right now so you can see. But we want the single transaction master data equals 2. So let's do this, and we'll save that into a file. And we've got our backup. And if we look at our backup, we should see a binary log position right here. So this is where we're leaving off. So we'll use that later. And so now let's work on installing Tungsten Replicator directly on this node. So we're going to extract from this particular Galera node, and we're going to apply it to the Tungsten cluster through the connector. So first, we need to create a tungsten.ini file, and I have that created here already. And it's extremely simple. And one thing is, topology is called direct. So that means we're reading from one server and immediately applying what we're reading to another server. The master we use in this case is going to be Galera 1. That's this host, right? We're running on host Galera 1, therefore it's going to be the master. Now, however, the replication host is this host, .120, and our connector is running on that host on port 3306. So we're going to be applying the dump and all the replication stream through the connector. And that way, in the Tungsten cluster, if we say do a switch or have a failover, the connector will just keep on going and replication will continue. So now we have our tungsten.ini. Let's actually install Tungsten Replicator. So as usual, tools tpm install, and we'll give this a minute to install. Okay, now that it's installed, we typically use the start all command, but actually we want to start the replicator, but we don't want it to start replicating yet. We have to restore the backup and we have to set the position. So let's just use this other way of starting it where we do replicator start offline like this. So that'll start the replicator, but it won't bring it online. And it'll just be sitting there waiting for us. And we need to just set the environment, continuent share env, and now it should be in our path. Okay, so the replicator has started offline. So now let's restore our backup. And if you remember, the replicator is going to be replicating through the connector. So let's have a look at this again. And I'm going to stream the dump to this connector host. So it's going to look like this. And that's going to go into the cluster. Let me just change this. And now there we go. So now if we come over here and look at the cluster, the numbers have gone up, progress numbers, it's all restored. So now all we have to do is set the extractor position. And that's actually really easy with a tool called dsctl. And we're going to use this master log position. So here's a template of what we'll use. And then we'll just fill in the values. So all we need to do is put in the correct position here. So that's this, followed by the actual position. And this tells the replicator where to extract from. So let's do this. And this is fine. That just means that the tracking schema did not exist before. That's okay. But now we can actually bring the replicator online. trepctl online. Okay, and we're online. And now let's just test it. So the one thing here is let's look at the cluster. Okay, we're already at 452. And let's write something into the Galera database and have a look and see if it gets replicated here. So first, we will have a look at our databases here. We'll show databases. And let's create a new database called demo. So if I connect here, MySQL-u root-p databases, okay, create database demo, and we should see that over here. And Here's our new database called demo. So now at this point, we have replication running from Galera to a Tungsten cluster. And then to actually do a cutover is really easy. We repoint our applications to the Tungsten cluster, to the Tungsten connector specifically, and we're done. That's really all there is to it. And it's, again, it's a really simple migration to migrate from Galera or really any other MySQL-based database into a Tungsten cluster. So I hope you found this enjoyable. And of course, any questions, just reach out to us. We'll be happy to help. Thank you.